Said, the last panel of the day, Ecosystem for Good. We have the incredible Ashley from Dogpatch Labs Accelerator 2050. We have Catalina from KM0. We have Mark, all the way from my lovely country, Social Enterprise NL. Nacho from Startup Valencia and VDS. And my lovely, lovely friend is going to be moderating this amazing panel. Sara from Prodigioso, Volcán. So can I have the last welcome applause of the day and make it a very big one?
Yes? Yeah? Perfect, thank you. So we are going to talk about ecosystem for good. So we have here, no, Nacho, you're here.
Oh,
yeah. We are going to talk about different type of ecosystem, not the profit-driven ones that are focused on that type of outcomes, that the ones that are much more focused on social impact, equity, sustainability. So we have here different guests from different types of ecosystem hubs all over the world. I'm going to start with a question for Nacho, maybe. Let's do a quick round of who are you, what do you do, and a small example of an impact project, impact entrepreneur, impact startup that you have in your ecosystem. Let's go.
Okay. I'm Nacho Mas. I'm the CEO of Startup Valencia. Startup Valencia is a non-profit organization. We have been founded on in 2018. And yes, and we are running a really big tech event. It's BDS, Valencia Digital Summit. This year, in a few weeks, we have the 7th edition. And yes, and our projects with the impact is about to help our community of startups to go to the next level. No? We mix together like a platform the different kind of agents, the investors, entrepreneurs, public administration, and of course corporates also. And yes, and we try to look for and to help them to go to the next level in order to have more employees in the city, and also with the women in tech, we are helping them to have more success in our community and connecting around the world also.
And in around 15 days, you have a huge event also in Valencia, VDS, that you can also attend. We hope that most of the audience here go also to VDS. Fingers crossed. Now, Mark, what about Social Enterprise NL?
Yeah, thank you, Social Enterprise NL. We are a network started in 2012. We have 450 members, and the members are businesses. So these are companies that are in the social domain or in the sustainability, in the food. We select on impact first, so we want social enterprises that put their impact before profits, and you will find them in any industry and so on. One example, you want an example, is Fairphone. This is a phone manufacturer, and they were founded to do something about conflict metals, so problems in Congo, cobalt, and all these things. But we have also companies that make, for example, jeans, 50% recycled garments, all these kind of things. And that's we build our ecosystem from that member foundation.
Now let's go with Catalina, because you're a different type of ecosystem, because you're like niche focused.
Exactly.
Well, everyone is kind of niche focused. You're local, social good, now a specific sector. Yeah,
exactly. We are a food innovation hub. We are based in Valencia, but our scope is global. We were founded by an industrial group here in Valencia. That's why we are here and not in another city. And with our aim is to help the transition to a better food system. We are doing this through open innovation. We connect startups, investors, corporates, and other actors of the ecosystem. We are creating actually an ecosystem for driving this change around the world. And in Talking about success cases, we have a startup that is actually here is Naria, for example. They are tackling food waste, but also food security. And there is others here too. They are working with farmers and helping decarbonizing this very first part of the value chain. And other kind of startups. We have a multi-corporate program also for open innovation with different types of challenges, and we work together. I think that the best example is that we are creating this ecosystem through food and through a better future through food.
Both Odos and Naria that were pitching are
Exactly.
finalists.
Yes.
So maybe in like an hour, we have to go to the other stage to know who won the startup challenge. And now, Ashley, you're part of a giant, let's say that, like Dogpatch Labs, but you have created like Accelerator 2050.
Yeah,
What's that?
so my name's Ashley Shak. I'm the head of sustainability and innovation programs at Dogpatch Labs. So Dogpatch is Ireland's leading starting hub. Is anyone here from Ireland? Okay, so I have to be careful what I say. But also, maybe you'll understand, a lot of people might ask why Ireland? Like, why are we on a panel for Ecosystem for Good and why is an Irish startup hub here, right? I know the Netherlands, there's a Dutch person, right, that came up with social enterprise. Like, of course, we're in Valencia, so you're here. But what's really interesting about Ireland is some people might disagree about this, but we have one of the largest GDPs per capita, and that's just because we have so much tech in Ireland, and that leads to a really good tech and innovation ecosystem. So really what we see our jobs as doing in the Irish tech ecosystems is really being the connector. So we connect the startups who need money with the corporates who have the money, with the governments who can create the policies to help them get that money, and of course the academics. So that's really what we see our job as doing at Dogpatch. For myself, as a head of sustainability, I run our suite of different sustainability-focused programs like the 2050 Accelerator. We're in the middle of recruitment right now, so if there are any startups out there who have a sustainability focus, definitely talk to me after. But the whole point of the 2050 Accelerator was to raise the profile of Ireland on the sustainability level and make our country really a test bed for sustainability innovation. So last year we worked with Kerry Group, ESB, which is our electrical supply board, and Quilcha, our forestry, semi-state, really to just use the Irish assets and help startups validate their tech by using those assets. So
now a challenge that everyone that is involved in innovation hubs has faced, like how do you balance the different interests? Like you have a lot of technical talent, but you have investors that want to sometimes make a lot of profit. Sometimes we hope like impact-driven profit, but entrepreneurs that want to scale their idea or to start idea from scratch, whatever, businesses, corporations. How do you balance the different interests?
I'd say that we are pretty strongly, like we say with our chest, like we're by founders for founders. So that's what really sets us apart from another ecosystem actor. We run programs with founders in mind. I think I might be the only one really in Dogpatch who isn't a founder, but I come from the public sector, and someone once told me being in a nonprofit is very similar to being in a startup. It's the same type of chaos and energy. But because we are running our programs by founders, we really know the issues that founders are coming up against. So in our accelerators, we don't just have how to start up classes. We already know that the people that we've recruited know how to do that, which is why they're on the program. We know that startups need something like a route to market, or they need access to customers. So that's really what we focus our programs on. And the corporates that we work with, or even the government, because we run the government's national accelerator, they know that we're founder first, and that's why they come to us. And I think that's really our strength, because realistically, if a corporate or a government wanted to run their own innovation program, they could, right? And it would probably be bigger than ours. They have a way bigger marketing budget. Their recruitment could be better. But we really focus on that quality of saying, we're a founder, we're looking out for you, we want to help you find a customer. So come with us on this journey. And the corporates know. We do try to act as the neutral middle person or middleman when we're in these accelerators. Obviously, the corporates are giving us money, so there's an element to that where we do have to balance out their wants and needs. But we're transparent with them. We say we're here to advocate for the founder.
What about a local ecosystem like yours, Nacho?
Yes. For us, the entrepreneur is the focus is entrepreneur. No? So we have to help them by the different tools to choose the right corporate, the right fund, because now there are many funds, many corporates that want to work with startups, no, or invest in startups. And now are the founders and entrepreneurs who have the power to choose who is with more alignment with their values and whatever. No?
So you're kind of an enabler for them.
Yes,
like facilitator.
Yes, we are a platform. Yeah. We connect the people, no? And we give them visibility and we connect. But if they ask to us, we can advise them about what the different roles or the different kind of entities that there are in the ecosystem. And also the same entrepreneurs, when they have meetings, they can also exchange the different kinds of tips of different corporations or funds or whatever. So yes, we facilitate.
Okay, let's go with Netherlands. So after more than a decade, what have you learned and how do you balance that type of interest?
Yeah.
Or have you moved from a different point of view to another?
No,
one?
it was just that I was just contemplating a bit on the word interest. Because see, an ecosystem, we have a half-open ecosystem. We have meetings and events with just members.
Yeah.
These are social enterprises who are impact first, and we have things that engage a larger community. We want big corporates to buy from them, to work with them. But I think we are very clear in saying, okay, our principle is impact first. So if you come and join us, and you bring other agendas than really want to do something for the world, yeah, then it doesn't fit. So I think, and also what Ashley said, being very transparent, being open and honest, and say this is what we do, and you're welcome. But yeah, if you have other things, then it doesn't work. And for example, we do some things with the foundation of Shell and the foundation of Google, and we sometimes get some criticism, why do you work with them? Because these are not good companies, if you want to call it like that. And for us, we say, okay, if their foundations want to do something philanthropic, whatever with us, help our entrepreneurs, they're welcome. And if not, then not. Yeah, I think it's as simple as that.
How does it sound from a corporate focus innovation
Yes.
hub? Because your mandate is...
Yes, exactly. To add
bit
something different.
Yes.
As we were founded by industry, actually, we understand what they really need or what are their needs. So our duty is like to translate like the corporate vocabulary and language to startups, and also to the startups language to corporate people. So I think that this is our value to help to create these bridges between the two very like different words, and had to intend to create like more value in these transactions. So this is, I think that this is our difference, and also in our multi-corporate program, we are trying to create like a community of knowledge between these corporates that are working together. Some of them, for example, Ruben from CAPSA,
Yeah.
this was before giving a speech. They are, like very advanced in their corporate venturing strategy, but we also have like a corporate that is very, very, like starting this relation with the startups. So they are together, they help each other with their doubts or their suggestions, or the way they are developing their own relation with startups. So I think that this is very helpful for them.
Okay. And now, from my point of view, after having led like different accelerators and innovation hubs, the magic word is collaboration. But as Mark has pointed out, like there are a lot of agendas, and most of the agendas maybe have a room, a space, because they are legitimate, of course. But how do you foster that collaboration environment between all those interests, have you ever said no or set a stopper to a specific partner, Mark?
Oh, yeah, we do it all the time. Well, because we have, you have to become a member as a company. You need to be a social enterprise, and about 50% of the companies that apply, we don't think are pure enough. And we get people trying to help us, or we think, yeah, in the long term this will degrade things. Because if you don't, I think trust comes from different things, but if you don't have a common purpose, it will be very difficult.
Yeah.
And then it's still difficult because, for example, if you want big companies, small companies to work together, yeah, small companies will be saying, don't you want to steal my idea? Are you really helping me? So on and so forth. It's very difficult to have them work together. And so that takes time to have them sit together.
Yeah, exactly.
And the big companies need to first put in things. They need to put in a lot of things to gain the trust, which is natural. And for small companies, often it's necessary to grow. So we see entrepreneurs that don't want to open up and in the end don't grow. But we try to start from a purpose orientation and then to tell everybody to be open. To be open source, to show what you have, but it doesn't always work. That's for sure.
I can imagine the same from, for example, KM0. Sorry, I'm used to saying in Spanish, so it's kind of weird to translate it. So, how do you say no to startup? Because I think that in Spain we don't have that. We are not very used to say no to a company or to a partner. Like we see potential in everywhere, but sometimes like being loyal to our purpose is long term. It's much more better.
Yes, totally. It's like now we have there are no so much startups in food tech space, so it's like we are not every day saying no. But now the thing is that our goal is to create success cases, because success cases would be like the key for our permanence or for our programs to go further. So now we are trying to find and to once we find it, like the startups that that are facing the challenges that our corporates are interested in, and also the challenges that we really need. Like challenges like food waste and food security and water management. And also we are looking for these triple bottom line solutions. Now we realize that if a startup it doesn't create like impact, it's not possible that we can help them. Even if it's super focused on food, we need that they are creating like impact in the three areas: social, economical, and environmental. So that's our standard now.
And how do you manage that? Because I think that being part of the staff of this event is not easy to manage saying no or saying you are not like the best one right now when you are also leading a huge event VGS here.
Yes, we have really a problem because we have more than 500 speakers this year with 8 stages like this stage there in the City of Arts and Science. And it's really difficult to say no to most people. But we don't say no. Maybe no to be here in the States, but we invite to everybody to Valencia to come and to join together with this vibrant ecosystem. And yes, and maybe in the non-profit and in the public side is easier to say always yes. The challenge is how to collaborate between the companies, industries, accelerators, investors, no? And it's what we are working in to put together them and try to have maybe the same alignment with the ideas or and the social impact also. And yes, it's really the challenge, in the private sector, because if you invest in a company, maybe the other fund don't invest in the same company, and it's for you you, and it's competitive, no? So it's right for us. We love the competitive and the competition, but in our sector, it's easier to attract and say everybody to come to Spain and to Valencia. Yeah.
Now, something that is really difficult when you work on innovation related, whatever, there is measurement. How do you track impact? How do you track, what are the key metrics for your ecosystem, for the companies, for the investors that are part of your network, whatever? How are you taking care of that? Because it's something that sometimes we don't want to see, but of course we have to measure something. And it's really it should be purpose connected somehow. So, who wants to start?
I'm most happy to start. If people become member from social enterprise NL, one of the criteria is A, you need to be transparent, and B, you need to measure your impact. So our members do measure their impact, but this is, if you're very small, difficult sometimes, because some things are difficult to measure, and other things are expensive to measure. For example, if you work with people with, let's say, disabilities or disadvantages, it's difficult to say, okay, this person worked with me for a year, and this person has grown in his skills, and otherwise it wouldn't have happened. It's difficult. So, and if you, like, for example, Fairphone works a lot on the cobalt chains, so they have an advocacy program with now also with Samsung, and so they improve the lives of people that actually, children who try to excavate cobalt. But it's very difficult to say this is the reality between what I do here in a meeting room and the life of somebody in Congo. But our base is the members that actually try to measure impact as good and bad as it's possible. But for us, as an ecosystem operator, if you want to call it like that, we cannot say, well, we help our members, so every 1% of impact they make is ours. We cannot do that. A, you cannot prove it, but B, our members wouldn't like that. And also not other big corporations that help us or other impact investors. So we don't measure impact in that sense. What we can see is what are our members growing? Can we see our members growing? Can we see membership growing? We try to measure, but it's also difficult. Are they becoming more professional in the impact that they measure? But that's already quite vague. So there is, I think, a big element of trust, and we do measure, satisfaction of the people, the people in the. But if people say, I like to be part of the ecosystem, I think it's valuable. You can't. I mean, it's very important, but you can't call that impact. So that's the way we look at that. Yeah.
What about you, Catalina?
Ashley,
it's tough. Well, Ashley's going to answer after that.
No, I think that we don't have like measure different from them, like in terms of number of corporates that are in our program, the growing numbers of the startups in our community, the number of connections that we generate at our summits, and the number of events and the number of people we are attracting now, and also they are related with that. But it's true that every startup is also creating an impact itself. So we cannot measure the impact that every startup is creating. So I think that maybe is a good challenge to measure also that and to add that to our impact, that the impact we are creating, for example.
What about you, Nacho? Because you are kind of a local aggregator.
Yes.
So it's a bit different?
Yes, in fact, we have an observatory.
Okay.
And we have a directory with more than 1,400 startups that we have. From
Valencia?
Region of Valencia.
Okay.
Alicante, Valencia, and Castellón. Most of them in Valencia. Maybe 85% are in Valencia. And the rest, maybe 10% in Alicante and 5% in Castellón. And in our directory, when they manage their data inside, they have questions about the social impact. And they have a question about what of the goals of the sustainability development goals they are looking for, no?
Okay.
And they, in the list, they check what. So it's really a self-measure, no? But it's more than less, no? And then we have this, and these companies can tell to the world in this directory that they are looking for these goals.
Type of impact.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's the form that we have to do it, and it's really difficult because yes, we would like to do it better, but it isn't easy.
Yeah, it's not something that we are really used here in Spain. Like
No.
we tend more to measure quantity.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about you, Ashley?
I was trying to think how to answer this question because I'm terrible with numbers. It's like you should have asked someone from the finance or the data team here for this. But I know generally when we're looking at impact at Dogpatch, I think it's really safe to say that, that whole thing where the whole is greater than the sum of all parts. We really look at our community members, and to kind of explain it, Dogpatch is kind of split into 3 sections. So the first is community, and that's really the ecosystem. We have over 300 members. Not all of them are in the building, but they can hot desk. There's some set meeting rooms and everything. So we really, if you take a look at any of our LinkedIn or social media pages, everything that we churn out is focused on the members. So all the good news stories of like X raised this number of euros, has this like milestone or something like that. That's generally, how we see our successes, how much we've impacted our members because we've given them, a support network. The other way, or the second thing we really do is we run the National Accelerator called NDRC. And so for that, I can give you actual numbers. We run the accelerator twice a year, and we invest 100,000 euros to 14 startups every year. And those are mostly B2B SaaS, they're just software mostly. But that's kind of our funnel where like we first start investing in those, they become a member, then from that we get the member good story. So we really see that whole journey of a startup essentially in our ecosystem. And then lastly, corporate innovation is the last and third final thing we do. That's the team I'm on. And the one number I can give you for that is for the 2050 Accelerator last year, our NPS score was 89, and we were really proud of that. And we're confident that it's so high because, like I was saying before, the focus of the Accelerator was helping these startups get customers, helping them get pilots, helping them get paid. So I think that's really what a startup was looking for in that type of accelerator, and that's where we see our impact, really.
Okay. And finally, before opening the mic, so get ready. We are in an event full of stakeholders, different stakeholders like investors, corporates, a lot of corporates, but also academia, like R&D centers, whatever. How do you envision the future in the innovation hubs in terms of being able to drive change, to drive the real impact that you have on your mandate? Let's start with Nacho, maybe?
Maybe you can. He starts better than me. Yeah.
But he can close.
Oh. I don't know. Yes. We work also with the universities on the Center of Investigation and all this kind. But we don't have really a formula because in Spain, as you told before, it isn't in the NDA of the people, no, of the businessman. So we are changing it, and the new generations and the new people with the new studios and the new generations, they become with us, no, with that. But the people who is now managing the war in Spain, they are really far of all these things. So really. We understand in the future or in the present continuous, we will do it and we can, but it's really a little bit like a fight between the two worlds, no? These two worlds. So we are in the middle. We want to be in the two worlds, and yes, and we try to put it together and to have the best.
Okay.
Of course.
What about Catalina? How do you envision that future?
We are focused now in the next generations, actually. We have two programs, one for kids and the other for young students from universities. It's called Gastrogenius and the Food Tech Challenge. And we really believe that they are, like not only the entrepreneurs of the future, but also the people who will be working in the food industry now. So we create with them like the solutions for the new food system, right? And we also have different tools for dissemination, communication. We are on a mission to accelerate the transformation of the food system. So we really believe that we need like different actors in these missions. And we are 10 in our team, but we are not enough, of course. So that's why we are trying to gather like experts, food industry leaders, young generations, people from institutions that are very needed, and people from retail, to trying to elevate this ecosystem to finally driving change. But we really need that investors can invest in the things that we really need, in the problems that we are focused. So that is really needed, not only people, but also investment and the vision that we are creating the future that we really need or we really want. Where we put the money, it's going to define the future that we want to create. So we also need that. It's quite important.
So hopefully we had a lot of impact-driven investors focus on food, like three of those and on. So fingers crossed that your startups or your companies can take advantage of that. Now, Ashley?
Yeah, so I know, the common saying is you innovate out of necessity. But I think, and I can say this because I'm almost an Irish citizen, but I fear that in Ireland, there's not really that feeling of necessity yet. I don't know if that's the same story here. Most of Ireland's startup ecosystem is B2B SaaS platforms. I don't know about you, I've never had a life-changing moment that's been solved by one of those apps. But I think something that really solves that, it's what we've started doing is something, and this is cringy, but we call it startup diplomacy. But it's something I really believe in because I come from the international development sector. We started doing programs with the Department of Foreign Affairs where we bring international startups to us and we help them scale to Europe, because Ireland a lot of times is seen as a gateway to the EU and to the US, so we can really help them with that. And I think it's some people might see it as a charity thing, but what I tell our Irish innovators is I tell them, like, this is innovating out of necessity. This is where I think we need to learn from. And so I'm really proud of those type of programs. And something that's really unique with Ireland is they're one of the few Western countries that has never colonized another country. And I come from America, so it's like a big thing for me too. I'm like, oh my God. But that's really one of our strengths. And so I think Ireland should take advantage of that, go out, and this is really their time to help other startups learn and really scale from Europe. And I think that's where we can learn and have a lot of impact.
Yeah.
I think that everyone has been solved by SaaS sometimes. I'm quite sure, because they are everywhere. So.
Yeah.
And now, Mark?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you say ecosystem, but we have a clear strategy. So to take an example from food, so if you have a new product and you promote your products, you also promote better behavior, maybe not eating meat or these kind of things. And that had a spin-off effect you could call indirect impact. So a social entrepreneur puts a product on the market, creates a direct impact. It may save water or may save CO2, but there's an indirect impact. And this indirect impact is often social norms. So it becomes less fashionable. In Holland, for example, we've seen that the retailers don't promote meat anymore on price. So they stopped saying, listen, for €1 you get a chicken leg. And that's helpful. So those are social norms. But the reality is, if you want to progress, there needs to be different laws. There needs to be different regulations. Because like in food, for example, the EU subsidies, they've spoiled a lot. And this is everywhere. This is the same with e-waste. So we basically say, as an entrepreneur, you should also speak up. So we have programs for entrepreneurs to speak up and say, this is wrong and that's wrong. Not to say we waste 30% of our food, but to say this law is wrong or this policy is wrong. And we're now running a lobby program, so we try to tell the entrepreneurs, you need to be a lobbyist as well, and try to...
Apart from entrepreneurs.
Yeah, but that's where you get the real the real scale up. And we do that ourselves as well. For example, I'm now doing things in e-waste that we throw away. About half of the e-waste, phones, whatever, has been put in the bin and burned. And it's really bad. And so they often don't want to be too annoying for industry and politicians. So we sometimes do that on their behalf. So I write opinion articles in the newspaper, not saying I got all my information from this entrepreneur, but it's a bit clear. And so I think to really scale up the impact, you don't need to per se scale up the ecosystem. Yes, also a little bit, but to see how to multiply the effect on that level. And for example, with light, we all have LED lights now. That's gone really quick, simply because the EU said, listen, it's mandatory. And it's cut 90% of the electricity usage of light. So there needs to be at a certain stage a government that says, okay, we're going to change the law, or we change the subsidies, or we're going to change these kind of things. And we see that as a responsibility as an ecosystem operator for ourselves. Yeah.
Really interesting. Folks, we have like a couple of minutes for questions. Yes, there is a mic there. Yeah.
But the rest cannot hear you.
No.
Please. Guys.
¿Me podéis poner ahora? Gracias.
Okay.
So thank you very much. Very inspiring, everything you said. Two things. One, on regulation. Sometimes what we see, I'm part of Catalina's team, so what we see is that some policies are well-intended and then they mess up things even more. So, for example, sustainability strategies in the European Union that are very strict with European companies, and what we have to do in the end is import some products. Or, for example, with gene editing, very strict here, then our innovators go away, they innovate over there, and we end up importing those products. So, on regulation, much needs to be improved and to really inform well policies. And something else from your previous question on what are the fundamentals or the filter we put in place to decide what companies we work with and we don't. We really share your same vision, so we would love to work with only impactful companies, like companies that do good. At the same time, I'm struggling with the question of how do we convince the unconvinced, and I believe next year we should really focus on that. We should really start to speak to people that don't share our vision. So up to the moment, we are an ecosystem of food change makers. I think we have to start to speak to core business members, so people who don't give a damn about everything we're speaking about. So we're in the middle of that process, many things to learn from both your organizations.
No, but it's if I can. So if you talk about, let's say, financial flows and rules and regulations, typically there's two reasons why they're not so good. One is they're old, so they had a good intention. Like you see in circular economy, there's been good intentions about waste in the 1960s and 70s, and now they work against us. And the other is, there's big interest. If you look at the agro industry, there's huge interest, and they have a very strong lobby engine towards the EU and whatever, and that's difficult. But I see you have people that really start understanding things, and you have people that start understanding a little bit. There's people that understand but don't want to do anything. But at a certain stage is a question, how does change work? For example, we've been supported by a big bank for quite a long time. And we talked to the CEO, and he was very skeptical. And then 4 months later, he called us. And it was actually, I think it was in Dublin, where his son went to a university. And his son was getting really sort of, wow, And then the CEO talked to his son just on Saturday, and his son basically said, but what are you doing? What is your legacy here in this world? If you are old, are you proud of yourself? And he was really like a life-changing moment. It was very often as children. And he's called us back and said, we want to do something with you. And then he has people below him that said, what are you doing? But that is, so I wouldn't go talk to people that don't want to do anything. I would try to pick out the ones that are willing to take a small step and are willing to talk about it. But it doesn't, it doesn't work to talk to the skeptical long tail of people that will never change. That's a waste of time, I think.
Any other question? One more? Or we have like a minute? So thank you so much, and now it's time to say thank you to Ashley, Catalina, Mark, and Nacho, because we started to think about this panel like 3 weeks ago, and we made it. So we're really happy to have you all here. Thank you so much.
you.
And now Anik is going to finish this part, and we are going to move to another thing. Thank
Can
you.
I have the biggest applause for the panel? You guys show that you don't need a lot of time to create innovation. 3 weeks ago, and here you guys are. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here today. I think it's the Social Nest and this amazing summit have been incredible, bringing these people together, all these change makers, entrepreneurs, corporations, etc. So, to ask you to celebrate, for me, the most important part, is we're going to announce the winners of the startups inside on the main stage. So can you please all go support these new innovators? And if that's not motivation for you enough, that's also where the Estrella Galicia beers are going to be served for the networking. So please make your way inside, and then you can do the networking after. It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.